Welcome everyone. I am back. All right, you might have seen Ken quite a lot of times, all right? But I'm really here. But I'm here because it's Hololive, right? It's Hololive. Everyone loves Hololive. It's not exactly new, but it's very anticipated, right? That's right. So we're here today. We're gonna tell you all the important and cool cards from the TDs and boosters that you should look out for, basically. Right? If you're getting certain cards, look out for these ones. These will probably help you in either a lot of the deck builds or just good cards in general. So we're gonna separate into two sections. We're gonna start off with the TDs, and then we're gonna do the boosters, right? And we're also gonna give you our thoughts on these cards too. So it won't just be like, you know, here's all the cards, go buy them. I'm gonna give you reasons why you should get them. Yeah. So let's kind of start with. Are you ready? Ken, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready to roll.
All right, and if you guys hear airplane noises or Ken desyncing, that's a feature of the Australian internet. Okay.
Yep.
That's
Sorry.
a feature of Australia. So let's get started. First off, we have Rushia. All right, this is from the third generation TD, right?
Yep.
And she's pretty good, right? She's pretty good. What do you think, Ken?
Yeah, Rushia is pretty strong. I think it's it's definitely one of the top two TD finisher cards. It's pretty good because she has the ability to stay on the board with the hand encore effect, and with the combo, you can always threat it. You have always threat up of shuffling back 4 cards into your opponent's deck, which if you have the threat turn after turn, it's pretty hard for your opponent to play around it without exhausting their resources. So yeah, it's just like kind of a really good finisher.
That's right. It's resilient.
Have to end the game.
It's resilient. It has pressure. Right, two the key words, yeah. And she stays fat, right? She's like 10-5, you know, and then is generally bigger from all the support, and is one of the reasons why these TDs are actually really, really good, right? one of the two reasons why some of these TDs are really, really strong, yeah. Some of the support for this card is we have the flare. So this is one of the 2-piece combo that allows Rushia to come in early, just the general level support. And has that ability just to put Rushia in play, which is cool, right? With her and Rushia, she's just straight up 12k just from that alone. But if you combo it with the Noelle as well, this one, it becomes 13k with Encore, right? And then has a really threatening effect and can call more like level 3s out. It's pretty scary, right? It's pretty scary. Just bear in mind as well the brainstorm for this, since it's from a TD, you get to mill 5, but you only get to draw. So you get to mill a bit more, but you don't get to target what you want to pick. So you have to kind of grab what you want earlier on. But you know, drawing cards not bad. Right? It's not bad. And then the next card we have is this Marine. Tell us, Ken. There are some really cool shenanigans you can pull off with Rushia and this Marine.
Yeah, so most conventional heals in this game only heal when you play them out of your hand. But this one is designed specifically to work with the Rushia Wizard Store, so even if you play her out of your waiting room with the Rushia combo, you get to heal. And on top of that, the additional text is quite powerful in that you get to choose which characters gain soul. I think previous iterations of this effect didn't let you do that, so you know, if you only need a hit for so much damage, you can just choose to give the soul to a smaller number of characters, or you can just global soul pump. So it's flexible and just combos really well with the Rushia as the design works, and I think it's a good card to keep in your deck if you're playing Rushia already.
And if you have like multiple Rushias and multiple Marines, you can literally like loop her out and heal multiple times just by playing over her. So that's pretty cool. It's like a nice trick that you can show your friends, especially if they're new and they don't know what's going on. They're like, how did you heal 3 times? Like, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. Yeah. Pro tips, right? Next we have is this flare. So we've included this flare in just because it's from a TD. It's not exactly the best combo that you maybe put in the deck, but it's still good enough. It's honestly just good enough. It's not. It's decently big. It's like a 6k, right? But with the Noelle, it's like a 7k, right?
Yeah, so, 7k.
Yeah, so it's got nice power with a climax slam. It's like 8k. And it combos with the choice, so there's a lot of good things going for it. And then just the top deck like grab, of course, it's not like a targeted grab, but hey, you know, you get a twin drive if you want to, so you can kind of. It's just a nice beefy card that, you know, if you don't know what to put in, sure, you can run this one instead. Yeah.
Yeah.
The next one though, we have Kanata. This is from the Gen 4 TD as well. tell us a bit about this card, Ken.
Yeah. So this is kind of like Rushia in that you can also pull this card out at level 2, and then she, gives you a bit more advantage in that point in the game. So her combo is that if you have 4 other characters and she's in the front row with the combo, you choose 2 cards in waiting room, and you can either gain hand or stock. And because you have to lose a bit of resources to play her out, you can just quite quickly replenish the resources that you lost. And then for every turn afterwards that the Kanata stays alive, you always have the threat of just going up in resources to the point where your opponent's going to struggle to come back from that gap.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really good. And she also has a similar brainstorm to the Rushia, which gives her another bit of power. You can put a support behind her. You can salvage a counter. So her staying around on the board is also pretty plausible. Yeah.
And this is the card that kind of goes into that Kanata. And the Kanata, I just want to add the level 3 one. It's got basically everything you want in it. It's got like, the sustain basically, right? You can heal, you've got the extra compression you grab, or just like general hand advantage. And it comes with this counter package. So you actually just have built-in backups in your deck. And just, if you want to get like the counter out early as well, it's kind of economical in a way, because it's only like 1 stock, right? So a few things going for it. And then this is the Coco, that kind of the brainstorm, the Noel kind of similar to the Noel. It gives the power to the Kanata, and also does the brainstorm 5, of course, from the TD as well, which is the draw, right? So a bit of, you got the similarities there, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then this card as well from the TD. This is actually a really, really good card. I think it's super underrated.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it bonds with the level 3 Kanata, but then also lets you salvage another card by sacking it and then discarding a card from your hand, right? Mm-hmm. So you can get 2 things from your waiting room, and basically those could be the cards that you need for the combo, right? But one of the things that you might realize after playing a bit of like Hololive is that salvage is sometimes a bit annoying in the deck, right? You've got a lot of searching, a lot of things like that, but salvaging comes at a bit of a premium as well. So this being able to just salvage card, it's just really, really good, right? Yeah. Cool. Next we have is this counter. This is from the first generation TD, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first gen.
Yeah, this backup is a very simple backup, but it's very, very important, right?
Yeah. It's often called the leaf effect, but while it costs 1, unlike I think the Mio counter in the booster pack, when you use the counter, you can reveal the top card of your deck and then add to hand and discard 1 if it's a character. So at any point in the game, you can use it to have a chance to discard climaxes or get rid of cards in your hand that you don't want, and it also improves your chance of cancelling on that turn.
Yes. So
it's just like always a good card to pick up, especially because it has a soul icon on it. You can trigger a choice and add it to your hand as well.
All right, cool. Next we have this Korone. This Korone is from a TD, and it's a level 1 climax combo, and it's actually insane. I can't believe this used to be like booster pack cards, but this was
pretty double rare.
Yeah, but this
I think
is pretty trial
is a
deck.
similar card.
Yeah. So this is an on-reverse, it's basically on-reverse search, but you can stack the effect onto other cards as well, and onto like specific, like just one card if like your opponent has too many big powerful characters on their field, but like one guy that you can reverse. You can stack all the effects on one and then like search 3, right? And you can change the timing for it. It gets kind of powerful, right? When it comes to play, it gets like power equal to other things on the field, or equal to the number of Hololive characters on the field, not others, so including yourself. So you can get decent amount of powers while stacking the on-reverse effects. It actually just blew my mind when I was reading this card.
Yeah.
It's so
pretty
good.
Great.
It is so good. It combos with choice as well.
It's almost everything that you want on a level 1 combo that combos on not standby. The trigger is good, the effect is good. She's big enough to contest your opponent's stuff, but even if you can't contest like all of your opponent's board, you can just target one weak lane and then you still get your combo off. Yeah, I think she's probably just the best level 1 combo in the deck, like in a vacuum. So yeah, you should definitely hold on to these if you got the TD. If you haven't got the Gamers TD, pretty good investment.
Goodbye now. Goodbye now.
Yeah. 1 TD comes with 4th or level 1 combo as well. So even if you're not a fan of the Mio level 3 combo, like you can just get 1 and there's your 4 Korone.
It's value.
So pretty good.
It's value, right?
Yeah.
Next, we've got this Coco. This is just they call it a clean cut, right, Ken?
Yeah. Commonly referred to as clean cut.
Yes. Do you want to explain a bit why it's good? Just
yeah. So it's a bit unintuitive, but in this game, you can rest characters which are reversed, which means that it would have been sent to the waiting room at the beginning of the encore step normally, but by doing that, you save it from going to the waiting room. And then on top of that, you can move it to the back row. So a card like this Coco lets you attack extra times without losing cards. For example, you can attack with a back row brainstorm card, and then you can use Coco to move it to the back. And then that way, you've basically attacked from the back row. You can also do it when you decide to match your opponent's character in power with one card, and then you attack with Coco, and then now only your opponent's character is reversed. So it really helps you with aggression, and especially in, I think, the Title Cup event that we have coming up next month, where you can only use Hololive. A card like this Coco is pretty good, because the 3k line is not that easy for Hololive to break on the left and right front row areas. So, yeah, this is another really good card to hold on to from the TD.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, next one we have is this AkiRose. This one is just straight up, one effect, 2/5, but it just kind of gets you anything you want. Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty weird how powerful these cards from the TD are. So the thing with this is that, firstly, a lot of other effects which put cards in your clock do it from the top of the deck. So sometimes you just lose a climax score, but you don't have to worry about with this. In fact, you can even choose what goes in, so you can choose your color for when you level up. And then she can also salvage herself. So if you attack with this card, it gets reversed on your opponent's turn, and you're not sure what you want to get, but you just want to attack next turn. You can just get this again and think about it one turn later again. Yeah. So you can always do it, and because it's not level restricted or anything, it's just any Hololive character. You can do it in the later stages of the game and just get whatever you need to end the game as well. So it's overall really flexible, and yeah, again, you should probably hold on to 4 of this if you have it already.
It's very, very good. This Nene from 5th gen, she's kind of nice. I guess she helps you dig, right? It helps you dig in the top 3. Which, if you need a climax combo and you don't have it, this can help you dig 3 more cards in. She also goes to memory, so if she just gets reversed in battle, right? She just goes away, it won't go back to the deck, which sometimes is not great, but usually cards in the memory, they stay in the memory, so it makes your compression better by 1. It's not too amazing, but it's one of the few cards that lets you dig in the set, which I think is pretty decent, right?
Yeah. In decks like Rushia or the Kanata level 3 that we just saw earlier, that this Nene is kind of helpful because you want to use your combo every single turn, and if you only draw 1 each turn, then clock draw 2, you only see 3 cards, and with only 4 climaxes, it's a bit hard to see them. So this gives it a little bit extra push, so you can see that climax again, and then do what your deck does best.
Yeah. Next, they might have seen it, but it's the Miko. This one is a 3/5. With a search effect, right? So a drop search effect. So it's pretty good. Having big lines early game, as well as having the ability to just search at the late game as later on. So you still have utility. Your opponents do get Encore 2, but that usually doesn't come up that much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the downside for this is not great. She's also red, right? So she's got a lot of things going for it. The red color is one of the most popular ones, and has some really strong effects too. So overall, just nice. There's just very little downside for this card.
Yeah. The 500 power is also nice, as I said earlier. It's a card that can fight the Coco on the left and right in stuff like the mirror match where you're both playing Hololive. So yeah, the power's good, and a lot of the time your opponent's going to forget that this card actually has a drawback. So if your opponent doesn't use the Encore 2, this card basically doesn't have a drawback. So yeah, pretty good card.
We got the Pekora here. This one is it's a power pump and can escape to the back during your opponent's attack phase. So kind of stays alive while just pumping up other cards to run over lanes. Early game, this is really good to get over your opponent's cards at level 0, but generally any time later, even at level 1, still good. But it's just like a power pump, a 2k power pump is just nice, right? And just the fact that it can stay alive just for the cost of just 1 stock means that you always, if you need something to attack with next turn, you have the ability to do that, as long as it doesn't get reversed on your turn.
Yeah, it's just like, one of those other cards which can attack once and then go back to the back row. So again, it's like sort of as if you attacked from the back row. You didn't gain the stock, but you still did the damage.
Yep.
And then because you can pump your front row, you can, keep up the aggression. It's all good.
And the last card we have is this event, the Hololive Gamers event. What do you think, Ken? I personally wouldn't say this is a must get, but it has like the mill effect is pretty decent, right?
Yeah, it's nice. When you're getting used to the game, sometimes it's a bit hard to work out like when and how you want to mill down your deck and stuff. But when it's an event, it's a bit easier because you can just hold on to the card until you think you need to do it. And then in the booster, there's also a few cards which support this particular event. You can get it to your hand. You can discard it to do stuff like salvaging characters and stuff like that. So I think it's a nice bit of added flexibility, and it sort of lets you get used to the game a bit more comfortably. So it's again, nice card to hold on to.
Yeah, I think all the generations have their own kind of event. This is one of the better ones as well. I think the red one is also pretty good. But yeah, this is all from the TD, right? I think we've got some booster pack ones as well. So let's kind of jump to that one. So let's start off with this Luna. So we're onto the booster pack stuff. The Luna's pretty good. Again, like we talked about 3Ks. Yeah.
Yep.
Has a downside, can't side attack. But this one lets you swap climaxes. So, usually you like to climax combo, and hey, she can get you the right one as long as you have a climax in hand, and the other one is like in the waiting room, right? So overall, a pretty good utility card. Yep.
Yeah, pretty solid. I think that's all there is to say about it, but it can't really go wrong. So good card.
Next we have is this Pekora. This is a level 1 climax combo for Pekora. She has a kind of unique effect in that you don't actually need to reverse your opponent if your opponent has like empty slots, which is what they like to do against like on reverse climax combos, right? They like to empty their kind of front row, play around that, or bounce it or something like that. This one doesn't care. This one actually doesn't care if they bounce or have an empty slot. They either need to be reversed or have an empty slot, and bam, you can plus, which is always good, right? It's always good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that your opponent can't play around unless they just put up stuff that's bigger than the Pekora. And again, if you have multiple Pekora, it becomes just more and more difficult for your opponent to set up against it. So you won't have to worry about the same sort of stuff that you would be worrying about if you were playing, say, the level 1 Fubuki combo from one of the trial decks. So yeah, it's an added bit of benefit, and it lets you go through your first deck, which is generally something that's good in this game. So that's also a pretty big benefit of this card.
Cool. Next we have is Watame. We included this one as well just because this one doesn't really care about reversing things as well. It's really up to you, like what you want to choose, right? This is one of those taste things, right? This one is slightly bigger as well. It's a 6/5, right? It's a 6/5. But also, yeah, you don't need a reverse. You just mill the top 2 and just grab a card that is equal to the combined level of the cards milled from the waiver. So overall, it confirms you getting cards when you climax combo, and you don't have to worry about reverses. That's basically the key thing. I know a lot of people just like that kind of flexibility, right? Next we have is this Coco, right? This Coco. Why'd you include this one, Ken?
So I don't think this is the finisher of choice for everyone, but it's still kind of solid. She's reasonably big on your turn. She heals, and when you reverse an opponent, you get to deal a somewhat random amount of damage. But being on choice, the combo is just kind of good. The climax combo, climax, has a good trigger. It's kind of hard to go wrong with finishes which heal, because if you're behind, as in you're on higher damage, you can heal down and wait one turn. If you're going for the end game, you can just play that down and use the combo. So it's kind of like a safe pick. And one trick with this combo is that you perform the action within the quotation marks 1 plus the number of times you pay the cost, which is pay 1, discard 1. But if you pay the cost 0 times, you can actually still do once for free. So yeah, it's kind of flexible with what you want to do, and it can't really go wrong at the mid game, where you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to end the game or I want to heal down. But then if you get this, like, you can do one of both, one of two. So yeah, it's just a good pick.
This is like a very strong hyper finisher in a way as well, because you can have the potential to deal a lot of instances of that 1 damage. And she's definitely a fan favorite card as well, character. Yeah, so cool. Next we got this Watame, and we see this quite a lot, right, in a lot of decks.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
What's the reason?
So in this game, I think if you've gotten a bit used to the game with the trial decks, you'll see that it's not actually very easy to interact with your opponent's stage, aside from reversing your opponent's stuff. But this actually somewhat breaks that rule, and you can ignore power, and as long as the top card of your deck is a character, you can just send something from your opponent's front row to the bottom of the deck. And some of the more popular decks right now rely on their front row characters just staying around on the board and putting up some big power, making it difficult for you to fight their board. But this can just like bypass that and bottom deck one of the opponent's big things, and then typically a lot of decks these days lose power when one of their board spaces becomes empty. So yeah, it's a very good kind of like anti-meta sort of card, and you only need to play like one or two if you like. So it's a pretty good pick. It's only a rare. Shouldn't be too hard to get your hands on. I would strongly recommend anyone who's playing yellow in their deck to just try one and see how it goes.
Yeah, it comes in at level 2 as well. And
yeah.
I know a lot of newbies who play White Schwartz, they're worried about power, right? So, it's too powerful. Do I just side that? Well, with this, you don't have to worry about it. They just make an empty slot and attack directly, right? So, a very good card. Very good card. Next up is Matsuri. This level 3 Matsuri, just basically, I think every single deck will try to include this. This is what's known as stock swap, right?
Yep, stock swap it is.
Yeah.
This is kind of a not beginner-friendly card, but it's still a card that you should probably put in your deck. It's really hard to work out as a beginner, like when the optimal timing to do it is. But what you do is, when your opponent has a lot of stock and not that many climaxes in their stock, but they have a lot of climaxes in the deck, by using this card, you can remove climaxes from your opponent's deck and make it easier to deal more damage to your opponent this turn and probably the next turn after as well. So if you're just sitting there thinking, oh, my opponent has this many climaxes in such a thin deck, how am I going to do damage? This card can solve that issue for you.
Yeah.
And then once your opponents start getting used to this card as well, they'll stop making those scenarios where it feels really difficult for you to win. So just like the existence of this card kind of makes it a bit easier for you to get out of those like almost unwinnable scenarios. So it's definitely a good card to get used to.
You should definitely play it, and eventually you'll find the good timings to use it, right? But it just comes down to the experience as well after playing. So very, very good card, very strong card. We got this Sora. So this is kind of like a, would you call it a meme build, right?
It's not the most popular build, and I don't think many people would say it's the best build. But if you're unprepared to deal with it, it can be pretty scary. Just because
I have to say it's a really fun build. It's also
it's pretty fun.
Yeah, you can get her out at level 1, and then like with standbys and then her combo, and then set up 3 of her and then just put -2 soul on all your opponents. yeah. It's.
I think if your opponent's playing a trial deck and you're playing a build fully focused on this Sora, like maybe like 60% plus of your games, your opponent just won't be able to fight your Sora, and you'll just win with like 3 Sora in the front row for most of the game. So yeah, it's a pretty nice card. But then again, it's not the most popular.
Yeah, against a lot of the
newbies.
Against a lot of the newbies, I think this will feel super overpowered.
Yeah.
And then if you're new to the game, you'll be like, wow, this is crazy. But like later on, you'll realize like why it's not that amazing, not as amazing as you think, because you have more ways to deal with it. But it's still a fun card to play. It's still a fun card.
It's definitely not bad either. But because it's not super popular, I think it's relatively cheap to build this deck too. So if you're just looking for something casual to play at your locals or against friends, I think it's something to look into.
Yeah, that's correct. Cool. Next we got this Polka. This level 3 Polka. She can come in early if you have 3 or more cards in the memory, and then she has a decent amount of power, just like 10-5, and a heal. Right, early play heal, decent amount of power, very, very nice to have at level 2.
Yep. I really like this card. Unfortunately, it's not as easy to use in Hololive as similar cards in other sets, but a card that you can use to early play heal at any point in level 2 once you fulfill the condition. Like, it doesn't matter how many characters you have, doesn't matter how many cards are left in your deck. It's quite nice. Like, once your engine is like on full power, you'll just have enough memory that it's easy to cancel damage. Any damage you take, you'll just play Polka and heal off. And you can just keep attacking your opponent with the 2-soul Polka while healing, and the damage differential is quite big. So I'm a pretty big fan of this card, and hopefully we'll get some more memory cards in the future, and she'll become even easier to use.
Yeah, that's right. Ayame. So this level 3 Ayame also can come in at level 2. This is a thing. Like, it seems like a really like Hololive seem to have a lot of cards and just come in early.
Yeah, it's a big theme.
Yeah, she has a global 1,500 power effect, so it gives everyone else plus 1,500 power. But the key reason why you're playing this card is actually the third effect. Do you want to kind of explain the third effect and how it's super good?
Yeah. So a lot of people kind of just refer to it as level down, but basically what it does is you choose one of your opponent's characters. They choose a character in their waiting room with a lower level, and they're forced to swap the two chosen characters, and then you do it again once more after that. This is really effective against decks which, again, rely on their front row surviving, because they see a level 3 in the front row, you choose it, and then it gets turned into like a level 1 or level 0 if they don't have any level 2s. And even if they do have level 2s, it's usually weaker than a level 3. So this is really annoying to deal with.
Again, it's another one of those board breakers, right? Like the Watame.
Yeah.
But in a different way.
Yeah. You do need to be able to fight over the cards that you just leveled down, though, because like if you level down your opponent's stuff and then you have to just, you know, throw something weaker at it, it didn't really accomplish too much. But like, if timed well, it's very, very threatening.
Yeah. Next we have this Marine. This Marine is like one of the most busted level 3 finishes, I think, in a while. Yeah?
Yeah. I didn't think too much of it when it came out. I was like, oh, yeah, it's cheap, it's nice. But the more I played with and against it, it's really good in that you only need 1 or 2 Marine in your hand. And then sometimes you'll just like take a bit of damage at level 2 that you weren't expecting, or on the other hand, level 2 when it went on for a bit long, and your hand's getting a bit short. But then you can really quickly transition into that sort of scenario into your level 3 Marine turn, where you can just go double, triple Marine really easily. And it works well with the level 3 Kanata from the trial deck that we mentioned earlier. Because Kanata just builds resources, and then you don't need to commit too much to Marine. You can just fully commit to Kanata, and then, oh no, you hit level 3, no problem. You would just go into Marine and end the game.
It honestly works with everything. Like, to be honest, like if in Hololive, if you need a finisher, I think the first card you should look at is this card, right? This card, because she's very economical. 2, she combos with Door, right? The Door climax, and 3, you hardly need any setup for this card. You don't
really good.
If you want to play 3 of her, you don't even need 6 stock. You only need something like 4 stock, right? So
4 stock.
Yeah, it's just that good. Right, it's just that if you want to play Marine in your deck, this basically is going to every day, nearly every day.
Yeah. The only scenario I think you wouldn't play Marine is if you already have a level 3 combo that's a finisher. In that case, you'll just play that one instead.
Yes.
But like if your level 3 combo is not a finisher, like it just like Kanata, it just gains resources. We don't have a level 3 combo in mind already. Then I think like 80% of the time you can just put in Marine and it's probably gonna do completely fine. It's just easy.
I think like the one deck I think of that you don't run her is like in Rushia. It doesn't mesh, right? It just doesn't mesh. But I have seen like weird builds running that as well. So it's just that easy. It's just actually just that easy. If you haven't picked up 4 of her, I think you should definitely pick up 4 of her. Really soon.
This card is really
soon. The next card, this is also another really decent card that can go into a lot of different builds, is Suisei. This level 3 Suisei is an early play as well. Again, another early play, and it heals the stock. Power line is a bit low though.
Again, she's 11k on your turn. If you early play her, she should be 11k because you have to have 4 characters on the board to do it. And she counts herself. Yeah, but because she discards a card on play, you have to fill your board up. She's not very big on defense. You probably shouldn't jam like 4 copies of this card. Probably like 2, maybe 3, even 1 sometimes okay. But I think the nice part about this Suisei is that once you fulfill the 4 character condition, you don't have to have blue in your deck to play this card. So again, you can kind of just put her into like any deck that you feel like could use a little bit more healing and power at level 2. So yeah, it's a solid card to hold on to. Not as insane as Marine, but again, I would say like, you know, just consider 2 or 3, and a lot of decks would just benefit
pretty
from
much
having this card.
solve your healing issues. Yeah. All right, next we have is Towa. This is just a level support card, right?
Yep.
But it's actually like very economical, and can do some unique effects. Yeah.
She alone isn't like that incredible, but when you pair it with the level 3 Watame that we saw earlier, which can remove a card on your opponent's board, you can use Watame to bottom deck an opponent's front row, and then you can use Toa's act ability to drag out their back row to the front. And most cards in the back row don't have that much power, so you can just reverse that character in battle, and your opponent just loses 2 more cards that they normally wouldn't have lost from battle between characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a combo card, but it's pretty neat what you can do with it.
Especially like support cards. Losing support cards is usually unexpected. So when you can drag them out and reverse them, it's good times, right? Good times. Next we have this Hachama.
Hachama Beam.
Yeah, this is what's known as a rest counter in white shorts. And basically it's a counter, it's a backup that can rest one of your opponent's characters.
Yeah. So as you expect, resting one of your opponent's characters means that not only does it just turn off your opponent's attack, they also don't get you to generate stock from it. And in the end game, like one attack can make or break, who wins the game.
Yes.
So a card like this is very powerful. It is a bit difficult to discard 5 characters, including this one. So it's probably best in a deck like Rushia or Kanata, where you can just keep snowballing resources. Yep. But yeah, if your deck looks like, if you have a lot of games at the end where you have a pretty big board up and you have a lot of hand, this is probably a good card to include in your deck, and it just seals the deal. Make sure you don't lose the game accidentally.
All right, next we have is this Lamy. Lamy, this card's okay. This card's okay. If you like Lamy, I think this is probably one of the best cards for Lamy.
Yeah, it doesn't have too many notable cards. It's a bit annoying that you have to have two different cards with different names in your memory in order to activate the first condition, but I just kind of wanted to mention this card for the Hololive Title Cup again, which I think is happening next month. Because a lot of Hololive builds generally play level 3s out as level 2 as part of their main plan. A card like this, which gains a lot of power against level 3s to reverse them on your turn, and then you can just encore it again to threaten your opponent's level 3 again on the following turn. It's pretty nice. If your deck already has a few cards that make memory, I think this is something worth considering for that sort of event.
Yep, very economical. Right? We have the Suisei backup as well, level 2. This one is just a anti-change, right?
Yep.
Colloquially.
Yep, colloquially. So anti-change generally means that it will remove a card from the board whose level is higher than its controller's. So this card lets you do it on your opponent's turn. So if they're not careful around this card, they'll again just completely lose an attack. But it can somewhat be played around. It does require you to discard 3 total cards. It does require you to have cards that your opponent has to front attack into. So it's not super easy to use, but again, it's just like a nice threat to have up if your deck already sort of does what you need to do in order for this card to be, active. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good option. It's only a common. You'll probably very easily find it. In fact, you can probably just go to your friend and say, "Hey, give me this card," and they'll give it to you for free or something. So yeah, it's a nice card to hold on to.
All right. Next up is Subaru. The Subaru has an interesting effect. It lets you go through your deck, right? And it's also, I think it's slightly, is it slightly above spec in terms of power?
Yeah. So typically cards which have this sort of discard 1 top 4 out of card type of effect have 1,000 less power than a vanilla size. So at level 1, that would be 4/5 because a vanilla is 5/5. But because this card has the experience condition where you have to have a blue card in your level, she's a little bit bigger. And, that puts her a bit above level 1 combos like the level 1 Watame. Makes it easier to fight stuff like even the level 1 Pekora, as long as you have a 1k support, or even like a 500 support behind it. And it lets you get rid of like excess climaxes or cards that you don't really want in your hand. Go through your deck a little bit, so it's pretty handy to hold on to if you have blue and yellow at level 1.
It's an overall nice mill card. And you can get like events as well if you want to. It just has to be level 1 and higher. Next up, this Polka. This Polka allows you to basically get another card. And sometimes if it stays alive, that card will go to memory, right?
Yeah. So this is probably one of the primary ways that you'd get memory for all the cards that require you to have memory. So the Lamy, the Polka, basically all the Gen 5 girls. But even aside from that, she puts a second card on the board to attack with. So if you're finding that you're struggling a bit on hand, or you're struggling to get your combo at level 1, even though you have the climax, a card like this Polka really just helps you, smooth out those issues. You get your combo, you get an attacker, your combo probably gives you a bit of hand back. It's kind of just a neat card to have. Again, it's a common, it's pretty easy to get.
Yep.
So if you have red at level 1 and you're having those issues, or you just want memory in general, I'd say it's a pretty good pick.
I think the fact that you can just grab things that it's like cost 0, right? Getting another board, you can play it in a lot of things, not even just memory dedicated decks, but just if you have slots and going, what do I want to run, you can consider this one, right? This Matsuri is a brainstorm, and it's really decent. It's really decent. So it's one of the few like salvage brainstorms in the set, but also has a power pump for level 1 or higher characters. But it's a pretty significant power pump.
Yeah. In this game, you don't want to brainstorm every single turn. Once you get a bit more used to it, you'll find that your hand size is fine. You'd rather just keep the stock. You don't really want to mill through a deck. And then in those scenarios, the fact that you can just choose the other option and give power, which is a pretty substantial amount of power too, is really good. Again, being a salvage brainstorm, which means that you can access the waiting room, which a lot of other cards in the deck don't really do. It's really nice. I think this is just the best generic brainstorm in the set. So yeah, double rare, bit harder to get, but it almost goes in any deck.
It's a good investment. Works really well with the Korone, because you can stack the effects of Korone in one person and pump that power with Matsuri as well. To get like to just run over basically a lot of things. So really nice. Then we also have this Korone, this level 0 Korone. She's pretty much just a runner, right? A runner, but with an additional effect.
So a runner is a card that moves away to a different slot to avoid battling your opponent's characters. Generally, they're level 0s. Sometimes they're not, but I think 9 out of 10 are. So, but one of the issues that cards like that have is that they don't really do anything later in the game, because you're just going to have 3 slots all occupied, and even if you do run away, the cards that your opponents have are bigger than this one. But because the other effect on this card lets you top check 2 cards, which is just it's a useful effect throughout the entire game. She never feels awful to draw into. So if this is the sort of level 0 that you want to play, I think she's also a pretty decent option.
Yeah, it's generally nice utility, good utility early game, and then later on when one of her effects is not as good, she still has some usefulness, like comboing with Watame, for example, to bottom deck things. So pretty cool, very very cool. Next we got this Fubuki. This one just it's more utility, right? It's more utility,
So she can give power when she's played. She can also choose herself. So she goes to about 2-5, which is decent enough to fight over some of your opponent's stuff. In the later games, you probably won't pump her. You'll pump something else. That's also fine. And similar to the Subaru, except when it goes to the waiting room, you can discard a card to add a level 1 or higher card to your hand from the top 4 cards of your deck. Pretty straightforward. She gives a bit of power, and she can filter out your hand. She can go through your deck. It does a bit of everything that you kind of want a card to do. So you can maybe play a couple of copies of this card in your deck, and I think you'll find that your deck sort of just runs a bit smoother in the early game.
And then we got this Choco, level 0 Choco. So has, again, 2 functions. Comes into play, can mill the top few cards of the deck. Also has the ability to just pay 1, discard 1 to salvage a card. If anyone drops in, again, to salvaging, very, very cool, very important. And then also gives 1k power. So overall, just some nice utility. And you get to actually choose to mill 3. You can choose not to as well. It's kind of rare, because a lot of these effects before do force you to mill 3, right? But this one lets you choose.
Yeah. You'll get used to when you want to mill and when you don't want to mill. That's just, something you'll pick up with experience. But yeah, just again, cards like this, which let you swap the weaker cards in your hand with some stronger ones. It's pretty good, because if you play the trial deck brainstorms alongside stuff like Kanata and Rushia, the cards that you draw from your deck are typically not like the exact card you want, and then you can use stuff like Choco to control what you do have, and then turn that not particularly good card into the exact card you want. So yeah, it's a solid card.
Cool. And then lastly, we have this Aqua, which is also a pretty insane card. Actually,
Yes,
ending on a really insane
good
card. 3/5 in the center,
Yep.
but also a second effect. Tell us about the second effect.
Yeah. So the second effect, similar cost to the trial deck AkiRose. You pay 1 and you put a card from your waiting room into your clock. And then you reveal up to 2 cards from the top of your deck and add any character up to 2 characters from among them. So basically when this card is sent to the waiting room, you can sometimes it plus up to 2. And then she's 3/5 in the middle, which is the reason I've been saying that it's hard to fight 3k on the left and right, because this card exists. The center is kind of just sealed deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really hard to it's pretty hard to out this in a lot of even competitive decks right now. And then even if you do, like, your opponent gets to mill their deck, they probably get to get cards in hand. Yeah, it's quite frustrating. This card probably should be higher rarity than common, but it is a common, so like,
It's a
you just
common.
get everything. Yeah. Oh, and if someone can tell me why this card's name is Hermione, I would very much like to know, but I still haven't worked it out yet. So
Okay, well, you'll
Yeah,
have
someone let
the Aqua fans in the comments telling you
Yeah.
why. But that is all the cards from all the boosters and the trial decks. So basically, the super important ones. There is definitely bound to be more important cards, and I would love to hear what if we missed any, and what your cards are in the comments below as well. Right? We will be posting a deck log that contains both the trial deck and the booster pack. The cards that we just mentioned in the description. So if you guys want to see the full picture, go check that out. But otherwise, we'll be back for some more Hololive content very, very soon, right? Anything you want to add, Ken?
No, just thanks for tuning in, I guess, everyone who came around. And if you have any questions, you can ask us in the comments. You can even message us on Twitter or something, and we're really happy to answer. Questions starting from beginner questions all the way to experienced people. So just let us know, and yeah, thanks again.
All right. See you guys next time. All right. Bye.
Bye.